So let's talk about the engine, the user interface, and how to navigate around. So at first it might look confusing if you have never been here before. If you are from Unreal Engine 4, you have a slightly more understanding of what some of these things are. But let's start from the beginning, and I promise it will be a lot easier. So to begin with, up to the top left, we have all of these different buttons that are usually normal in every software. To begin with, we have File, and inside of File, you can create a new level, you can save your work, and you can also create a new project. Inside of Edit, what's important here is the editor preferences. So clicking on the editor preferences, here you can change things about the editor. So for example, you can see here the viewport selection color if you want it differently and so on. Honestly, I've never played around with it. I usually tend to leave the editor as it is. I like the way it is, but you can try to look around, see if there's something you like to change. And then we have the project settings, and here we will be a lot. So inside of the project settings, you can edit the project's settings. So for example, the description of the project, the company name if you have one, you have a home page, support contact, and this will all appear when you release the game so people have a chance to contact you. And you can edit settings for when you package the game and want to release it. You can edit settings for when you click buttons. We will use this later on. And we can edit the default map and so on. So we will work here in the project settings later in the project. The last important thing is the plugins, and clicking on the plugins, you can see we have a lot of different plugins, and we don't worry about that for now, but you can see we have a lot of plugins. And what's cool about this, later on you can also, right now it hasn't come out to Unreal Engine 5, but the Steam multiplayer is a plugin that you can enable here, but it's not released yet. It's only for Unreal Engine 4 right now. Inside of Windows, you can open new tabs. So for example, you can see here I have something called a details panel. Inside of Windows, there's also this details panel, and you can see I've already opened one, but I can open a second one if I want to. And these are basically the same. So if I click on an object here in the level, you can see the same information is displayed. And this is pretty handy for if I have two monitors. So I can pull this on my second monitor and I can actually work there. And this is especially useful for if you want to open two viewports. So now we have this viewport and I can put it on my second monitor and watch it from there, and this is pretty cool. So inside of Windows, you can open multiple windows. Now there are a lot of other things, but I try not to cover them for now. We don't really need them to begin with. So let's go over to tools. We have different tools here, but let's not worry about that. We have the build, and here you can build the lighting, for example, to make it work inside of your level. So this is the most important thing, is the build all levels and build the lighting. You can also adjust the lighting quality, and this will take a lot more time if you put it to the highest when you try to build the lighting. So we always work in the preview or medium to begin with. And inside of help, you can see the documentation for Unreal Engine 5. Okay, so down here we have the save the current level button, so you can save the current level you are in. And then you have the create button, and here you can create different things. So for example, the lights, this is a very important button. You can create lights, you can create shapes, you can create cameras, you can create something for the visual effects, for example, a volumetric cloud or sky atmosphere and so on. So here you can create different items. And the content is, you can open a new content browser. And if I click on content browser, you can see I have a content browser here. And this is actually, if you click the button down here, this is actually the same. So I have the same content here. So now you can also have multiple windows for that. I've never needed it, so I'm going to close it again, but just so you know, you can open it here. And you can also get or open the Quixel bridge, but we will not work with it right now. And inside of the blueprints, this is very important. We will work in here. And here you can open the level blueprint, which we will actually work in, but let's not worry about that for now. But this is the blueprint button, and here we will program the game. We have the cinematics button. Don't worry about it for now. We have the select button, so you can select different items inside of your viewport. You have the landscape tool. You can click on it, and here you can create a landscape, but let's not create one right now. And here we have a foliage button, and this is actually for if you have grass, for example. You can put the grass inside of this foliage painter, and you can actually paint all of the grass on the ground, or you can actually also paint other things than grass. So for example, if you have stones or rocks, you can paint those. Then we have the mesh painting tool. So if you have a mesh just like this ground here, you can paint on it if you have a texture. Then we have the fracture tool, and then we have the brush editing mode tool. Let's not worry about this one and this one right now. Then we have the play button, and you can click play to test out the game. We will do so. And just so you know, there are 3 buttons beside the play button, and you can actually choose to open the game in its own editor, the new editor window, or as a standalone game, but we'll just play through the viewport for now. And we have the platforms, and here you can package the game to different platforms and so on. I will show you later on how to package the game when we are finished, so you can release it and your family or friends can try it out. And here in the settings, we can hide the viewport UI. We can also show it again if you want to show it. We can also enter the project settings or the plugin that we just viewed earlier. And an important one is the world settings, which you can also see over here in the side. This one we will work with also later in the lessons. Okay, so let me go back to the select tool so I can get these away.